Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy Nix coming back with another video on the channel here today. I want to talk about 808s, how we can have 808s cut through the mix a little bit better, how we can make our 808s translate a little bit better through smaller devices such as like phones, laptops, etc. You know how most people consume music nowadays. It's a very common thing that, especially with hip hop, you know how the 808 is like driving the whole beat mostly. Sometimes in the hip hop, we can find ourselves in a situation where we listen to our beats or our music on other devices and like the low end is pretty much gone. So today I want to go a little bit in depth into that, to how to get some hard, aggressive, mean 808s that poke through the mix and that have their own position and stand out. So let's jump right into the video today. So I have a beat right here that I made in FL Studio. I'm gonna play a little bit of it for you guys just to start out. The very first thing that I want to let y'all know is what I did with the beat is I actually gain staged it. So if you're using a lot of those Waves plugins, you guys got to know that it's calibrated for a certain level, you know, because it's mimicking analog hardware. So what I did, the very first thing right here is I just bust all of the instruments that I have. I have some more instruments right here too, but I bust them right all the way to this beat aux, right? And then I just opened up, like you can use any trim plugin that you want, but I opened it up and I brought it down by 10 dB. So that way I have a little bit of headroom as I'm driving into some of these analog plugins I'm gonna be using today. So let's look into this a little bit further. Let me play the beat first. All right, so the very first thing that I want to do is show you guys a little bit trick how to get more out of your 808. So the very first thing that you want to do is that you want to pull out a limiter. You can use any type of limiter that you want to, but we're going to use the L2 because that's what most people have, and that's a pretty good one. So first thing what you want to do is you want to have an L2, right? And you want to drive that L2 to the point where you get a little bit of gain reduction, right? You get about, let's say, about 2 to 4 dB of gain reduction, all right? Kind of like this. Let me show you real quick. And we're going to bring down the level too so it's not too loud. Okay, so you guys get the point. So we got an L2. So what is this L2 doing? Pretty much the L2 in any limiter is a compressor with a very high ratio. This L2 is doing some brick wall limiting. So essentially what we're doing is we're squeezing the signal. We squeezing the 808. Kind of like how if you had an orange, or you had a lemon and you was trying to make a little bit of juice, right? You would squeeze that lemon or you would squeeze that orange to make some juice, right? If you want to get more juice out of a lemon or orange, you have to squeeze it. So because we trying to get a little bit more out of this 808, what we're going to use is a brick wall limiter to squeeze it, okay? So we're bringing up all of the bottom portions of the 808, right? The limiter is pushing up everything into the brick wall limiter essentially, right? So we're bringing up a lot of stuff. We taming peaks, whoop de whoop, and we're narrowing the dynamic range. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to use an EQ. So what I have right here is I have fab filter, right? So what you want to do is you want to actually EQ into that limiter, right? Because now that we brought everything out of that 808, right? We brought everything out of that 808. We squeezing it. We getting all the juice. What we're gonna use this 808 for is to take out the bad seeds and the pulp and the parts of the 808 that we don't want. There's gonna be a little bit of subharmonic frequencies that are crossing over as we're using the limiter to push it into that brick wall, like how I'm talking about, that high ratio. So you want to do a couple of notches, right? You can use any EQ you want. I like the fab filter the best though. So what we did is we used a couple of notches, right, like this. So what we want to do is we want to make a couple of notches inside of the 808. We're taking out all the bad seeds, all the et cetera, you know. So you'll just do like a frequency sweep, kind of like this, and just notch down the bad frequencies that you don't like hearing right now. Make sure you don't do too much. Don't cut up the 808 like a sushi chef or something like that. Do not chop it up, because then you're gonna have the 808 sounding thin. Just do a couple of notches. Like I said, we use the limiter to push up more meat, more juice out of the 808. So essentially, the trick goes like this. Once you do about 3 notches, right, in this range, right, the subharmonic range, right, somewhere from 0 hertz to around 150, right, low mid bass, right, it's actually gonna give you more low end. So let's listen real quick to this trick. Listen, the beat is actually gonna sound better. The 808 is gonna become more intelligible, and we're gonna perceive it as being louder. Let's listen. So that's insane to me. We literally just took out roughly about 9 dB, right, of gain from the 808, and it actually sounds louder. It actually sounds more clear and more intelligible. So the crazy thing about this trick right here is that frequency masking is the ultimate killer. It's the ultimate killer for low end, right? So all of the subharmonic frequencies that we just cut out have actually made it to our human ear to make the 808 sound louder, because now there's more space, right? There's less clutter. There's less things. There's less frequencies jumping in front of the 808, the bass parts of the 808, which makes us perceive it as louder. So let me show you one more time. Now remember, we took out 9 dB, but the 808 still sounds louder. Let's listen again. So that's insane, guys. That's a trick right there, okay?